Hello, everyone. We are the Innovators, and we're going to share with you a few helpful tools you can use in your classroom.
My name is Laura Wagner, and I'm going to present first the Book Wizard. And what Book Wizard is it provides a variety of resources related to the Scholastic book brand. It provides details for thousands of books, like grade level, genre, theme, and descriptions. And it allows teachers to create a personalized book list and find similar books that they're searching for, and it's super easy. This site offers special discount pricing for teachers and convenient shopping tools to make the process easy. And it's literally, what you can do is type in a keyword, and you'll see sort of the amount of books is incredible, thousands and thousands of books. These are the results just for colors. And then it gives you the interest level. It gives you, here's where you can add it to your book list if you were registered. And basically what you do is you design these custom-made book lists for yourself, and your pricing is based on your book list. And you can also find similar books, and I'll give you an extensive list of similar books. And basically, I mean, the Scholastic website itself is like tons and tons of resources. This is all just like the Scholastic website, which has tons of resources, but the actual Book Wizard itself is sort of like a shopping tool, basically. But the rest of the Scholastic website, has tons of resources. Some cost money, some are free. Principles, just for every grade level, everything you can imagine. Videos, freebie corner. This is free stuff, and in general, the pricing is very reasonable, I feel. Here's an example there's a calendar that you can actually print out and use for yourself, and that's free. And there's all kinds of strategies and ideas, and they get very specific, lesson plans even, and basically just tips and advice regarding Common Core. There are resources for parents explaining Common Core, which can be very confusing for them, and just a plethora of resources. There's a reading club. There is the teacher store, whereas that's sort of where they do all the purchases, and just basically anything you can possibly imagine, even whiteboard resources, and resources even for librarians specifically, along with administrators, teachers, and parents, and pretty much anything you can imagine, basically.
Right, that's pretty cool. So are these, like, when you said you register, is it logged in with the school, or is it just like an individual, like?
Right. You actually have to be a teacher to register as a teacher.
Okay.
To get the benefits of what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, but that's how you register. I mean, a regular person can register too, but you just don't receive the full benefits that a teacher would receive.
Okay, that's cool.
Did you say that the resources were all like you have to buy them, or was there any free resources?
Well, some you have to buy, and some were free, and it's really just a matter of going through them individually. Again, Scholastic is like such a basic major brand, so I mean there's thousands and thousands of resources, some free and some not. So
That's awesome. I love books. I'm a little bit of a book snob, so I love buying new books. So that's
Yeah.
exciting. Very.
Yes, and I thought the prices were very reasonable. I mean, compared to like Barnes and Noble or something, I
Right.
think
Yeah.
Scholastic is a little bit cheaper, which is nice.
I
So,
think it's easier to buy in bulk there as well too if you need to do
right,
that.
right. I mean, they cater to teachers specifically.
That's awesome.
Would you get the books like physically sent to you, or is it something that you could just project on your screen when you purchase it?
I think you can do either. I think there are options for things that you would just like project onto a screen, and then actual books that you want for your classroom. I mean, again, there's just multiple forms of materials.
It's awesome.
So, okay, and the next one is can you guys see that screen?
Not yet.
Thank you.
No?
Mm-mm.
Sorry.
I see you.
Okay. Shoot. Next one is the UDL Book Builder. This one was really cool, I thought. Nice. Here it is. This one was really neat, and it has a lot of free stuff to use. Yeah, there's 3 components. You're reading books, you're actually creating and sharing your own books, and then this is more just learning about the universal design for learning and like tips and resources about that. But the Book Builder in general is a site to create, share, and publish and read digital books that engage and support diverse learners according to their individual needs and interests and skills. And this is really cool. There's all these books that other people have created here, and they're like free to use. And I kind of thought, oh, I wonder like what quality they're going to be, but they're really like high quality, I think. Most of them. Again, you kind of have to go through them, but it gives you the full book with the full text, and then you can actually play the text, someone reading the text to you, and that's the same for every page. Like I said, I mean, they're just like basic books that you would get at the store or at the library. Very, very high quality, and so obviously this could be a wonderful resource for your classroom. Here's another one here, a pre-K book. And they're all sort of different styles of illustration and, different levels. Obviously, this one's very, very simple, but I thought the graphics were cute and, fairly, I was impressed by them. Now, this is another one that's has even more tools involved. These are library books, but they've added these. Wait, this one doesn't have it. They've added these like little icons, and you can do this when you create your own book. Let me find one with it. I had yesterday. Basically, they have these little characters at the bottom that this should be. Some of them have these little characters at the bottom that will actually speak when you click on them, and ask the reader questions and prompt you for answers and actually give you the answers and basically check for understanding. And you can again press play and it will be read to you, or you can read it yourself. Some of these are books that people have created themselves. Here's where you can create your own book, and you could just log in with the login that we have already created for Lesson Builder. And it gives you sort of a template to go by. You would, put your terms in here, put your genre, pick your grade level, and here's your table of contents. Here is, anything that you would possibly need to input there. And so I thought this was a really, really interesting website, and I was very impressed by it. Again, Universal Design for Learning is sort of the central idea around these builder applications, and it gives you sort of an overview here, different guidelines, and different ways of accessing that information.
I think that is really cool because then you can make it extremely personable to your students. If you're writing your own book, you can make it, put their names in it or put your class name in it, or you know what I mean? You can make it so personal to them, and kids love that. Like, I remember when I was little, if my name was like in a book that we were reading, I thought that was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, right.
So, that you can just make that so personal, especially if you have the younger guys, like 1st or 2nd grade, like kids
love that. Yeah.
That's cool.
I agree.
I just love how interactive these UDL websites are. I love the Book Builder website too now. That's something I'm definitely going to use in my classroom. Just like Trisha made a point, you can customize it to whatever you like. And I love that it gives you all the categories that you need in a book. So if you forgot anything, like, there's no way because it's right there.
Right, exactly. It's all right at your fingertips and very easily accessible.
Yeah, I can't believe they actually let you build your own book. That's so cool. Like, as I was listening to you, I was like, really?
I can't believe it's free.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So.
Okay, well, all right. So the next tool we're going to talk about is called News ELA. And I'm going to show you. All right, can everybody see that?
I see you still.
Same.
Interesting. Maybe if I hit. How about now?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So this is called News ELA, and it is a resource where it has a whole collection of articles that you can use in your classroom with just an array of topics. So if you go to the site, the first thing you'll see is this like featured articles. Without signing up for anything, you still have access to all these articles. And it's kind of like, it's separated by topics. So you see here, this is about law, science, latest news, there's money section, and they're all quality articles written for school-age children to understand. So if you go up to the top, you can search for something specific. When you click it, it gives you suggested searches, topics that you can choose from. It also narrows your searches by grade level, and it goes from 2nd to 12th grade. And something else that's really cool is you can choose a reading standard to help figure out which article will meet that standard. And it also has some articles in Spanish. You can do an advanced search if you want to get really specific, so you can choose grade level, same thing I said before. Yep. And then when you go to here, articles is another way to find, if you're not really sure, if you're not really specific about what you're looking for, it'll separate it for you by topic. So let's, for example, I'll go to kids. And when you click a topic, you still have this on the side to choose. So if let's say I click 2nd grade, and these are all articles about kids for 2nd grade readers. So it's really awesome. Yeah, you get a lot of choices. Really cool. Then something that makes it even more awesome, if you sign up, make an account, which is free. As an educator, I did that, and you put in your information, and it actually asks you, what school do you go to, so you're logged in with the school. And once you're logged in as an educator, or even a parent actually, you can It's not what I want. They'll give you a classes section where you can invite students to your link and send them articles for them to read. So you can send them a link or you can give them the code. So your students can actually go to this site and check out these articles on their laptops and computers and stuff. It's really easy to use because it gives you like instructions. There's like a quick start guide that I was looking at that explains like in detail what you can do with this site. Yeah, so that was helpful. Well, that's actually how to share the code, but there is a user guide. So that was awesome. And then you can keep track of your students. If I had students, you would see my students here, and you can invite students and keep track of their work. And how you can do that is if you go to Binder up top here, you can send out assignments. And so you'll find an article and you can type up instructions for what the assignment is. There's if you upgrade to Pro, which isn't free, you can make so you can download their data to keep track of like how well that they do. If you click here, you can see overall your class average, so your quiz level average and quizzes taken, but you can't see individual scores on here unless you upgrade to Pro. Here's student progress, and this is where it kind of groups your students by ability of how well they're doing, I guess, on the quizzes when they read. So like level 1 says need help, and they say how many students needs help. Level 2 is like nearly on track, so like, you know, a little work, and then level 3 and 4 is on track. So it's really cool. Oh, and you can download your data, quiz data, to Excel if you need it, you know, displayed in a different format and print it out using your classroom. So I found that really cool, and yeah, it's an awesome tool.
I think that it's just so interesting because of the fact that it's like articles for kids. I don't feel like there's any other website that I've seen that's like that.
Yeah, articles like specifically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good tool also to use, like he was mentioning that we could use articles in our Diego, and I'm like, oh, I could go back to that website now and look up some articles.
Add that in.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly.
Now, did you say this was all for the most part, except you can upgrade to a Pro version?
Yes, everything was free. In fact, I didn't actually have to sign up first. The only reason I signed up to see what the extra features were, and that pretty much was the Binder section that I clicked with all the class information. But the articles themselves were all free, so that was really cool.
I love that it has the customizable, like the Binder, where you can assign different readings for students, and then you can even like have quizzes, and then it tracks their results. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's like all right there on that one site.
Absolutely.
Right. So the next tool that we're going to be talking about is called Spritz. Let me just start the screen. Okay. So on this website, this is what the homepage looks like, and it says Reading Reimagined, save time, increase focus, and have fun. So this is a tool that helps solve key challenges faced by readers. It really focuses on fluency and ways that you can increase that. So this is like a little thing that just like reads out loud what it's saying. When it's this little like right here will change and it reads it out loud. If you go down, you can click on Learn More, which we're going to do in a minute. And then if you keep scrolling down, it just asks like who's using Spritz, and it talks about it, and it talks about educators, and you can email them to learn more about their textbooks from kindergarten through 12th grade. If you scroll down, there's more people, and it's saying that they're going to be able to customize your social media posts with Spritz It, and that's coming soon. They also have a publisher section and then marketers. Now, if you scroll back up and you go to Learn More, or you click this up here that says the science, it's going to take you to the same page, and it's going to talk to you about why Spritz works. The first article talks about RSVP, which is Rapid Serial Visual Presentation, It is a common speed reading technique used today. Traditionally, RSVP, the words are aligned to the left, which obviously that's what we're used to. But in Spritz, they're lined up so that it like hits your focal point of your eye and then helps you read faster. This article is very lengthy, but it's interesting. It's really in depth. It just kind of talks about how by aligning it like this makes it easier for you to read the words and makes it easier for your eyes to kind of take in what they're looking at. It doesn't take them as long to find the ORP, which is the optimal recognition position. So that's what this article talks about. And then if you go back, this is the one that says the rhythm of reading. It basically talks about how Spritz breaks up and displays words in the way that your brain like wants them to be presented, whereas normal text just kind of presents them in a way that's aligned to the left. It really doesn't go into the in-depth process of how our brain recognizes words. Spritzing, which is what they've been called reading using Spritz, is decodes words based on characteristics, so based on shape, form, and formats. So if a word's shape is easy to recognize, then the time required to process the word is more quickly. So the way that they set it up and the way that they shape their words has to do with how the technology of this company works. And it basically also said that spritzing is that happy median where it's just right. It's like not too fast, not too slow, but it's just right in the middle. And then if you go to, let me go back to here. So then it also talks right here about how for the last 3 years they were in stealth mode, is what they said, to perfect their methodology before they really introduced it to the world. And so it's a pretty new technology. Then it just talks about the reading basics, and this is basically a shortened version of the 2 articles that I just read up here, or talked about up here. Then it talks about why it's different, which also is touched on in those 2 articles. Then there's a video explaining all of that as well, which is nice because it's a little easier to understand if it's being explained to you in that video. And then it kind of just compares the 2 things. Like this is what I was talking about. The Spritz versus the RSVP is what I was talking about in the alignment of the words article. Now, if you go back up to the top, it also has an FAQ, so the frequently asked questions section, which is awesome because this is a very new technology, so there is going to be a lot of questions about it. It just kind of explains everyone can do it except for not basic. It says technically not everyone, but you have to be able to read. And it just was talking about how kids can use it, and then really just goes into the typical FAQ questions. And then if you go to the company section, this is just their contact information, and then it talks about their mission and how they were created, and the team that created the mission as well. And they have press releases. And if you go back to the top, they have their social media and other places where they've been mentioned, like the Wall Street Journal. And so it has Washington Post. It's been mentioned in a lot of really reputable companies. So it's just interesting because this is the first time I had heard about it. But I was like, wow, it's been talked about a lot, more than I had ever realized. If you want to get the experience, they have applications, so some of the applications are free and some of them you have to pay for, or you can download Spritzlet, and this will put everything that's on the internet and on your desktop into their Spritz format. Also, you can do the applications for your phone as well, and then they have websites that are integrated with the Spritz technology right here. And then if you go back to the home page, this kind of just takes you back here, and it just really explains everything so in depth. I was honestly just shocked because I had never heard about it, and it's just so interesting, the technology and the methodology they have to doing this. I just was really shocked by it, honestly. I'd never heard of anything like that. I'm trying to get up.
I think that is so interesting, how the positioning of those words, because I looked at the one on the left, that was like zigzag.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true, like your eyes had to kind of go here, here,
Yeah.
here, and then the one that was straight down, it was easier to read. That makes sense. Where of course
Yeah,
I
it
would
was
have
just
never
really,
thought of that.
I never thought about it either. This was something that was just completely new to me, so I found it really interesting. And I was like, wow, this is awesome because, like we were talking about the other day with like reading strategies and struggling readers, this is something that if you have a child that can read but isn't fluent, this can really help with enhancing reading fluency for sure.
Yes.
I was just like, this is so interesting because it's like a totally
Yeah.
new take on like reading and like that method. Like it's just,
Yeah. It is interesting.
and most of it's free, I'm pretty sure.
The resources that they come up with, is it stuff like they're creating their self, like books and stuff, or are they pulling it from other places and just rearranging the text position?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think they have stuff that they've created, but then they also have like that option where if you want to make your whole computer like spritzed or whatever, they will realign everything and basically put their methods into what you're looking at, I assume, and make it formatted the way that they would format it.
I wonder if this would really help dyslexic readers or not. I wonder if there's any research on that.
I think that it's so new that they haven't really gotten too far into all the research, but I think that the methods, like in the way that they're explaining, if you really read those in-depth articles, it puts out so much information about why it would make sense, and it's just logical when you read it. It's kind of intuitive. So it was just interesting. I didn't want to go too far into the articles, but it was really interesting to look at.
That's awesome.
All right. So for the last resource that we're going to go over today, we're going to go over the Science Writer, and it's also through the UDL Exchange website. All right. So to start out, you don't have to, or to start out, you can take a tour of the website, and it gives you a brief little video to explain what it offers. You can start a new project. Oh. Hold on. Is it letting you see me, like?
I can see your screen.
Yeah. Now I see you.
Okay.
There you go.
I don't. Well, it's not letting me click the options. That's the only thing that I have a problem with. That is really weird. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. All right, well, what this website is about is, okay, I'm not going to be able to share it. What it is, it's like a tool that helps students and teachers create lab reports and create different, they can do lab reports or they can do science reports. So in the reports, it gives them the option to have a report structure. So it gives you the introduction, methods, results, and conclusion categories. If you want to switch to a science report, it gives you the option to do the thesis one. It gives you the option to have a discussion at the end. There's a results for all sections. You can start a new project, and with that, you can name the project whatever you would want. So you could name it, like, I don't know, if it's about butterflies, you could name your project about butterflies. And there's actual little animations inside the CAST Science Writer that can help you with different categories in it. So there's the drafting section you would start out with first, and there's his name's Eco. He gives a hint, and you might be able to hear it. You just click it, and something pops up. A little video pops up, and you play it. And so, like this one says,
write a question that represents what your research is about. A question should be clear and not very long.
Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like there's different animation hints that you can pop up in the different sections. So then that one was explaining the research question. If you go to like the methods category, there's also a little animation of Max's report, Sam's report. So these are the little animations provided through the website that even will bring up examples of, so this one from Max's report, it's bringing up his method in drafts. So real quickly, like here's him talking.
First, I will write about how I collected data from my research. Next, I will write a new paragraph about recording and using the table and graph to show my data. The last part of my methods section describes my graph and tells what the data means.
So having animations like that is very helpful to a student who might be struggling on what information they need to provide for the different categories that they're presented with. And then it also has another option of the hint, so then that just gives them extra hints towards something they can put in their writing. Now there's, after the drafting, there's a revising section. So the revising section of this website allows the students to go back and examine all their different categories they went over to make sure that they have everything they want to write in there, and the revising section focuses on the content of their report and not the actual convections of that. There's an edit section that's where they would focus on if they spelled everything correctly, if they have capital letters in their report. So this website breaks the writing process up in a draft, a revise, and edit section, which is really cool, and it's really good for students so they aren't bombarded with all of it all at once. They can break down the different pieces of the writing process in this website and work section by section. It gives you the option to save it, so if the student wanted to work on drafting one day, then revising the next day, the student would be able to go back and access their lab that they created. What's really good to using this in the classroom is it creates more time for the students to do activities, since it's a fast and easy tool to use in the classroom. They're not spending time on physically writing a report and having to take time out to figure out what categories they might need to add in their sections or their lab reports, or if they have their teacher have to go back and edit through it themselves. And then a critical insight that I had, it's good for if you're like in an early childhood classroom, they can have a teacher's assistant or something type up all the information for the lab report on a computer next to the students while the teacher and the students are actually working on the activity itself, just so they can put all the pieces in the categories step by step.
Yeah, those characters are so cute and so engaging, and I'm sure the kids would love that. The characters.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. What target ages is it geared toward? Because it seems like it's mainly for younger kids, but I mean, like, is there a different version that's helping for high school students, or just mainly?
Well, it was hard for me to really show you. You don't have, because I couldn't get my screencast to work, but you don't have to use these animations. They're little icons that are clickable on the screen. Otherwise, it's just like the UDL lesson builder, where you have those different categories that you can access, and then you just change yourself. So it has the sentence starters, just like the other one. So you don't have to use these animations. It's just an option provided. Honestly, I felt like it was something that at least middle school students or older would use, because younger grades aren't going to be able to understand the writing process of where they have to actually brainstorm, add more detail, make sure that everything that they want to think about is in there, or be able to edit their punctuation or capitalization. Like, younger students aren't going to know that.
Well, I think it's really cool because I struggled with lab reports in high school, and I feel like if there was some more practice in the earlier grades, it would really help, like, make it habit. So by the time you get to high school, it's like, yeah, it's more requirements, but you kind of already know, like, the basic idea of what you need to do. So I think that makes it cool for younger students to prepare themselves for later grades.
I thought it was cool too, just because of the fact that it's based on science. I feel like a lot of like lesson builders and things like that, I feel like we kind of like steer away from science and social studies. So to have something that's
Right.
Directly related to science and labs and things like that, I think that's really awesome, because I feel like it's kind of steered away from a lot.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I'm a big science fan, so when I saw something that was geared towards science, I was very happy. And just like Jordan mentioned earlier, I had a hard time creating lab reports the right way in school too, because I never knew what categories I really needed to have in there sometimes, unless like a teacher provided a template or something.
Very true.
Awesome. Okay, guys, I think that concludes our tool talk for today. Thanks for joining us.